I have returned from my brief stasis to bring you another Half-Life overview. This time, we're going to be covering the series' second installment. I honestly remembered more happening in this game the first time I played it, but in revisiting it, I realized that there isn't much to the actual plot of the game outside of the first and last chapter. In fact, the majority of the game is spent either cruising in some sort of post-apocalyptic Mario Kart DLC, or blazing down corridors of color-coded baddies. Now that sounds like a reprimand more than a positive reflection of the game, but where Half-Life succeeds as a series is in the tiny moments between the bullet storms. The little blurbs of dialogue, bits of set dressing, and the passage of time in the game world give you more information in a more digestible way than a simple cutscene at the beginning of each act would. At least, that's what I think. Do you know another game that tells stories that way? Let me know in the comments so I can check it out. I'd love to go through your recommendations. Oh, and before we get going, make sure you subscribe to catch more videos like this one, as well as my Half-Life Alyx playthrough. And while you're at it, you should know that every like is one dead Combine. Contribute to the cause.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
Ooh. Every time he speaks, my skin crawls. Gordon awakens roughly 20 years after the Black Mesa incident, in which he did sort of, doom humanity on a train car, just like in the first game. The G-Man gives Freeman some ominous words of what I guess we could call wisdom.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.
And sends Gordon on his way. As he wanders semi-aimlessly through the train station, Gordon learns that his former director, Dr. Wallace Breen, is now Earth's administrator, and that Earth is now a part of the Combine Empire. We'll learn more about that whole thing later. Just as he's about to be interrogated by Civil Protection, Gordon is rescued by his old colleague, Barney Calhoun, who is operating as a mole for the Resistance. Our protagonist quickly learns he has more friends in the shadows of this whole Brave New World situation, and rushes to reunite with Dr. Kleiner. He doesn't make it far before he's cornered by Civil Protection, and is rescued by Alyx Vance, daughter of Eli Vance, another of Gordon's surviving work associates. Alyx, free-running enthusiast and post-apocalyptic trendsetter, helps Gordon reach Kleiner's lab nearby, where they both plan to use Kleiner's teleporter to reach Eli's lab, deemed Black Mesa East. Anyway, Kleiner's teleporter, being a miniaturized version of the gigantic machine from the Lambda complex in Half-Life 1, naturally operates without a hitch, and everything goes fine. No, this couldn't be that kind of game. Instead, after Alyx is successfully teleported to safety, Kleiner's pet head crab, Lamar, disrupts the machine, booting Freeman out of the lab and into a heated foot chase with the Combine. After Barney tosses Gordon his trusty crowbar,
good luck out there, buddy. You're gonna need it.
Our protagonist is left to escape through a series of canals, and eventually this world's version of the Underground Railroad. He makes his way to station after station on the Underground Railroad, evading the CP until he comes across what I can only assume is the first vehicle Gordon has ever driven that wasn't on some sort of rail system. Freeman spends a significant amount of time driving and doing sick flips, and gets an upgrade from a Vortigaunt, which he uses to take down a Combine Hunter Chopper. Oh, did I mention the Vortigaunts? They freaking love Freeman now. He's basically Vortigaunt Jesus after blowing up Boss Baby in the previous game. Finally arriving at Black Mesa East, Gordon quickly gets up to speed on the current state of the world, and now would be a good time to catch you up on what happened in between Half-Life 1 and 2. Obviously, Gordon's attempt to close the portals between Xen and Earth didn't work. After the G-Man puts Freeman into a sort of stasis, portal storms ravage Earth, allowing the now leaderless Xen aliens to teleport here. Society began to converge around protection centers in major cities around the globe, including the location of this game, City 17, somewhere in Eastern Europe. I don't think it's ever made clear in either title, but the whole reason the Nihilanth was on Xen in Half-Life 1 was to escape assimilation by the Combine, an interdimensional alien conglomerate that seeks to rule every culture in the multiverse in a universal union. When the portal storms began on Earth, the aliens of Xen were quick to keep running, but they were followed. In an event called the 7-Hour War, the Combine invaded Earth with unparalleled strength. They took advantage of the portal storms and defeated every major military on Earth in only 7 hours. Gathering the remaining humans into cities, the rural and suburban regions of the world quickly became inhospitable wastelands, infested with life forms from both the Zin and Combine overworlds. Now, the reason the Combine hadn't found Earth like this before is that they had yet to discover within-universe teleportation. Obviously, after they learned of the Black Mesa incident and the success of the Lambda team's teleporters, the Combine made it their goal to obtain this technology for themselves and truly conquer interplanetary travel by extension. Anyway, now that you're caught up, back to the actual plot. Upon reaching Black Mesa East, Gordon is introduced to Dr. Judith Mossman, who has become a working partner and obvious love interest to Eli. We get some classic "you're not my mom" interactions between Alyx and Dr. Mossman as Freeman wanders around the lab taking in all of this new information. And this is where Gordon obtains the
best weapon of any game ever.
the gravity gun. Or
0-point energy field manipulator.
he gets a brief moment of reprieve playing fetch with Alyx and her self-modified robotic pet / companion / assistant thing, Dog. He's so great. We love Dog. He's a good boy. This peaceful moment is quickly disrupted, though, as they're caught by Combine scanners, giving the team only a few seconds of warning before a full-on air raid. In the fray, Eli tells Alyx and Gordon to get out, anyway except through Ravenholm. As the Resistance base begins to collapse, Gordon is separated from everyone else and has to escape, with Dog's help, to, well, Ravenholm. It's dark, there's a corpse hanging from a lamppost, there are active traps everywhere, and those screams? Yeah, they're from new, deadlier headcrab zombies. Welcome to Ravenholm. Okay, there isn't much in the way of actual plot in this chapter. I mostly just want to highlight the exceptional level design here. This chapter isn't just challenging, it feels threatening in a way the rest of the game just doesn't. The new variations of headcrabs and headcrab zombies, including these fucking things, bring an extra layer of what some might call verisimilitude to a game that, in every other chapter, presents itself mostly as a run-and-gun shooter with light platforming elements and an amazing physics engine. By that I mean, it makes sense for there to be different kinds of headcrabs and zombies. They're alien parasites. Naturally, their hosts would affect their abilities. On top of that, you have Gregory.
Ah, there you are.
If you're developing a shooter and your game doesn't have a Gregory, I strongly suggest adding one. Gregory is the stereotypical Serbian madman we all deserve. Just a big, loud-mouthed Eastern Orthodox guy with an infinite supply of shotgun shells, a hearty laugh, and a love for blowing shit up. He's not important to the plot at all, outside of helping Gordon through Ravenholm, but I just wanted to take a moment and share how great this level and that particular character was. After escaping Ravenholm, Freeman learns that Eli Vance has been taken to Nova Prospekt, a former high-security prison that the Combine now uses to process threatening targets, also known as anti-citizens. Gordon takes a nice drive and gets an RPG from this useless fucker. Our protagonist briefly helps defend Lighthouse Point, another Resistance base, but his efforts are ultimately in vain, and he has to escape. It's here that Gordon meets an antlion guard, a sort of roided-out version of the antlions he had dealt with so far, and is taught by a Vortigaunt that with the help of the guard's pheropods, he can control the antlions. Commanding a seemingly unending horde of antlions, Freeman fights his way into Nova Prospekt. Nothing super interesting happens here at Nova Prospekt, but we do learn that Alyx can basically reprogram anything, a trait I expect we'll be exploring with some depth in Half-Life Alyx. Freeman reunites with Alyx in the Nova Prospekt depot, working their way into the heart of the facility. In their effort to find Eli, they discover Judith was a Combine spy? Yeah, it reads as pretty obvious, but they pay it off well. Eventually, the duo find Mossman and the teleporter she'd been helping the Combine build based on Kleiner and Vance's design. While Alyx and Gordon are distracted, Mossman uses the teleporter to escape with Eli, leaving our protagonists once again a step behind the bad guys. Without any other exit available, Freeman and Alyx are forced to try teleporting to Kleiner's lab with the experimental machine, and, spoiler, it doesn't go well.
God, we made it.
While our heroes feel as though only seconds have passed, to the rest of the world it takes a full week for Alyx and Gordon to arrive at Kleiner's lab. In the meantime, news of their brief success at Nova Prospekt spread throughout the Resistance, and the uprising has begun. Citizens all over the world, especially in City 17, start actively fighting back against the Combine, and beyond all hope, the movement is growing. Dishearteningly, while looking for their next escape path, Alyx is captured by Combine forces and taken to the Citadel. Over the course of the next day, Freeman leads small groups of citizens in their combat operations, taking out a significant number of Combine striders while he finds his way to the towering Combine headquarters. In the process of infiltrating the Citadel, Freeman's weapons are destroyed, but the gravity gun gets an unexpectedly badass upgrade. Seriously, best weapon of any game ever. Prove me wrong. Eventually, Gordon makes it to Dr. Wallace Breen's office, albeit in a compromised state. On his arrival, Freeman is sadly met with some familiar faces. Breen and Mossman argue over what to do with Eli and Alyx, and we learn that Breen and Alyx's mother may have some history? In a strange moment of moralism, Dr. Mossman betrays Breen, freeing the others. The relief doesn't last long though, as Breen grabs the gravity gun to cause some damage before fleeing the scene. Breen can then be observed talking to an advisor, these nasty bug boys, which may or may not be the sort of master race of the Combine Empire. Freeman and Alyx chase down Breen, following him to the top of the Citadel, where he plans to teleport away using the Combine's dark energy reactor. Thinking fast, Gordon uses his proven skill in breaking really expensive shit to overload the reactor, presumably killing Breen in the explosion produced. Alyx and Freeman are frozen in time by the G-Man at the last moment, putting Gordon into stasis and leaving Alyx's fate unknown until the next series installment. Just because we did it last time, here's the outro for you in its entirety.
It seems as if you only just arrived. You've done a great deal in a small time span. You've done so well, in fact, that I've received some interesting offers for your services. Ordinarily, I wouldn't contemplate them, but these are extraordinary times. Rather than offer you the illusion of free choice, I will take the liberty of choosing for you, if and when your time comes round again. I do apologize for what must seem to you an arbitrary imposition, Dr. Freeman. I trust it will all make sense to you in the course of... well, I'm really not at liberty to say. In the meantime, this is where I get off. That's all for now.
Playing through this was an even bigger nostalgia bomb than Half-Life 1, though I have to say I can't pick a favorite between them. What about you? Do you have a favorite Half-Life installment? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't checked out my video overviewing Half-Life 1, you should. Link in the doobly-doo. I'd also like to know if there are other games I can break down for you like this, because I'm really enjoying this series. Let me know in the comments if you have a suggestion, or reach out on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Joseph R. Strom pretty much everywhere. Anyways, that's enough for this one. I hope you're all holding up with the craziness going on, and I wish you the best. Oh, and I've started streaming on here since we all have a little bit more free time lately, so subscribe and turn on notifications if you don't want to miss that. Okay, that's really everything. Until next time, I love you. Bye.